Good evening and welcome to the October 10th Planning Commission meeting. If I can have roll call, please.
Messina.
Here.
Ingalls.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Lutrip.
Here.
McCracken.
Here.
Coppice. Ward.
Here.
Congratulations on your first roll call. If you can please join me with the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Thank you. Can you hear me out there? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I need approval of the September 12th, 2023 minutes, please.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion by Ingalls.
I have
Go ahead.
one correction.
Okay.
On the September 12th, our motion was to deny without prejudice, and it just says deny. So,
Okay.
on page 6.
Good catch. So I would re-motion the approval with your correction. Thank you.
With the change to
I'll second.
deny without prejudice. Okay, so we do have a motion by Commissioner Ingalls and second by Commissioner McCracken. I need approval of the September 25th joint workshop with the City Council on the impact fees.
I so move.
I have a motion by Commissioner Fleming,
Second the motion.
and I have a second by Commissioner Ward. Okay. Public comments, anything other than what is on the agenda tonight, which we have one item. One was postponed. Anyone want to speak on anything else? If not, okay. Staff comments.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. So for November, you will have a brief update on the impact fees. So Melissa Cleveland with Welch Comer will be here to present with staff just to kind of give you an update on what the consultant team has been doing since the joint workshop. And thank you all for all the time and effort you've spent and the feedback we have received. For our regular November meeting, there will also be 2 public hearings. So one will be a zone change request and one will be a 2-part request, a PUD and subdivision. And then you had received an email, I believe, from Greta Gissel with a date change for that joint workshop with the Planning and Zoning Commissions in Kootenai County. The new date is December 13th, and that'll be from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Okay, thanks, Hillary, appreciate it. Do any of the commissioners have a comment? Or, go ahead.
Mr.
John?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go.
So this doesn't have a whole lot to do with planning matters per se, but we like to use every opportunity to inform the thousands of people out there that watch tonight's presentation that the leaves are falling. Fall is here, and the city's ever-popular leaf pickup program, known as Leaf Fest, will begin on November 13th. It will start in the south end of town. It'll work its way north. They make one sweep through town. So if you could, keep your leaves on your property until the 1st of November. Don't push them out too early, but get them out there before the 13th. And if you can, help out the city by keeping your vehicles off the street while they're doing their work. So appreciate that.
Thanks, John.
Good, John.
Peter?
I have a tendency to watch a lot of public meetings whenever I get a chance. And I watched one last Tuesday where the attorney representing the city gave a presentation on how an appeal process was to work. It was it was excellent. And I think that maybe if the city so desires, I think you have interagency agreements, you may want to rent our city attorney out to give classes to others. I mean, it was thorough, it was complete, it was unprejudiced, it was excellent. Thank you.
And I agree with that. I also watched it, so thank you very much. Moving on to our public hearing, just want to remind anyone that's in the audience, if you're here to talk about the cell tower special use permit, that has been postponed, so just want to let you know. Okay, moving on to our next public hearing. It is A-1-23, a proposed 1.74 acre annexation from county agriculture to city RX. Am I gonna,
Good evening, Commissioners.
good evening.
This is a public hearing item A-1-23. The applicant is Sandra and William Braden, and the engineer representing them is Lake City Engineering. The applicant is seeking annexation of 1.7 acres and requests that the Planning Commission recommend to City Council that the property, zoned agricultural suburban in the county, be zoned R12 in the city. Property is located at 3549 North 15th Street. A legal notice was published in the Coeur d'Alene Press, September 23rd, 2023, and all other required notifications have been made. See, here's the property highlighted here in red. You see these green areas are in the county but surrounded by the city. So here's a close-up aerial photograph of the property. This is the subject property in red. If you do remember last year, this came through as an annexation and a PUD in a subdivision known as Burkdale Commons. This is a bird's eye view looking north. This is 15th Street, and this is Lunsford. The subject property is in the city's ACI, and the applicant has submitted an annexation map illustrating the exact area to be annexed. Here's the existing zoning. Currently, it's zoned county ag suburban in the county, and to the north is also in the county, and it's ag suburban. To the south is that R12 PUD. To the east, we have R8, R17, and to the south, we have R12 and R5 to the west. The proposed zoning would look like this with the R12. The R12 district is intended as a residential area that permits a mix of housing types at a density not greater than 12 units per gross acre. Principal permitted uses in the R12 district are as follows: administrative, duplex housing, central service, home occupation, neighborhood recreation, public recreation, and single-family detached housing. There are 4 findings that must be met in order for an annexation with zoning to be approved. The first finding is finding B8. That the proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan indicates this area is in the compact neighborhood place type. The comprehensive plan indicates that this place type represents the form of future development as envisioned by the residents of Coeur d'Alene. Place types will be, in turn, provide the policy level guidance that will inform the city's development ordinance. Each place type corresponds to multiple zoning districts that will provide a high level of detail and regulatory guidance on items such as height, size, setbacks, and allowed uses. So the compact neighborhood places are medium-density residential areas located primarily in older locations in Coeur d'Alene, where there is an established street grid with bicycle and pedestrian facilities. Development is typically single-family homes, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, townhomes, green courts, and auto courts. Comparable zoning districts within the compact neighborhood is R12, R17, MH8, neighborhood commercial, and community commercial zoning districts. Comprehensive plan and goals and objectives as it relates to this annexation request. As far as growth and development, goal number 1, develop a mix of land uses throughout the city that balance housing and employment while preserving the qualities that make Coeur d'Alene a great place to live. And the objective would be achieve a balance of housing product types and price points, including affordable housing, to meet city needs. See pages 11 and 12 of the staff report for the full comprehensive plan goals and objectives. The next finding is finding B9. That public facilities and utilities are or are not available and adequate for the proposed use. City staff from streets and engineering, water, fire, parks, police, and wastewater departments have reviewed the application request in regards to public utilities and public facilities. Each department has indicated there are public facilities and public utilities available and adequate for the proposed annexation and zoning to R12. Full list of staff comments is on page 13 and 14 of the staff report. The next finding is finding B10, that the physical characteristics of the site do or do not make it suitable for the request at this time. The site is generally flat, that slightly slopes to the southwest. The western portion of the site is vacant of buildings and is in a natural state with grass and trees located on it. Here's a topographical map indicating the topography. As you can see, there's not many lines on it, so it's very flat. Here are some site photos from the property. This is on 15th Street at the western edge of the property looking south. This is looking towards the single-family dwelling on it. This is standing on the driveway looking west. This is farther on the driveway looking west through the end of the property. And this is back on 15th Street looking north. The next finding is finding B11, that the proposal would or would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood character, and/or existing land uses. The city engineer has indicated that the subject property is bordered by 15th Street, which is a major collector street. Traffic from the proposed residential development is estimated to generate approximately 7 a.m. peak hour trips and 9 p.m. peak hour trips per day. The 2018 traffic count indicates 15th Street experiences an average of 770 p.m. peak hour trips. The land use map indicating the surrounding land uses predominantly got single family, and you got some multifamily here to the east, some duplex to the southeast, and some multifamily and single family. There are 7 items recommended to include in the annexation agreement. That's at the end of your staff report. And the decision points and findings. So the decision point, the Planning Commission is tasked with recommending zoning for the annexation request. The commission shall provide a recommendation of the requested R12 zoning to City Council, along with an evaluation of how the proposed annexation does or does not meet the required evaluation criteria for the requested annexation. So the Planning Commission will need to consider the zoning in conjunction with annexation request and recommend to the City Council that the R12 zoning be adopted or rejected.
Questions?
This
All right,
concludes
John?
my presentation. Thank you.
And a good presentation at that, Mike. Thank you very much. Question I have is on B11,
What page is that, John?
page 17 of the staff report, but with respect to the traffic, you know, when Birkdale came through and it was approved, I recall there being a little bit of concern by the city engineer of the way the intersection offsets were and whatnot. And I read in here, it says, this proposal addresses the streets and engineering department's concern that if each of the comparable neighborhood lots are developed similar to Birkdale Commons, traffic would be impacted by a series of 5 closely spaced intersections. But it reads as though, you know, this proposal addresses the concern that was in the past, as if this likely makes things better. Am I reading that right?
That is right. In their narrative, they respond and they state that they will use the existing entrance that was approved in the Birkdale South one. So all the lots that are going to be proposed off of this will go to the South Road and have one access off of 15th rather than creating a new access with this annexation.
So there's kind of a hint back when Birkdale came through that if and when this next one that we may see come forward to the south comes along, we'd kind of like you to do it this way or whatnot, and maybe that's what they're going to do.
They're going to actually tie into the Birkdale. If you look at the map, this subdivision right here, this annexation, they're going to put lots here and access the road here through this. And they're on file for a PUD in a subdivision, which you guys will be seeing next month.
And those details are later, really.
That is
Where-
next.
where
That
this-
is correct.
This is really about annexation,
And
and
zoning.
even though I bring that up, those details are really maybe not even germane for tonight.
That's
Thank you.
correct.
Thank you.
No question. Mike, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, only because they mention it in the report several times. How many units are in the Birkdale development, the PUD, that was approved?
The existing one,
Yeah,
I want to say 18 units.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perhaps the applicant might know.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, I just want to touch on our decision point for tonight. I know you touched on it. We're not doing an approval, we're doing a recommendation to the city council, and it's more of the recommendation of the R12.
That is correct. You're
Okay.
recommending the annexation in conjunction with the zoning to R12.
And then it goes to city council, and they make the approval.
They'll make the final decision.
So
That's
we're
correct.
making a recommendations, and that should be presented in our findings.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, if nothing else, Mike?
All right, thank you.
Gordon, are you coming up?
I left it up.
Just state your name, the city you live in, and I'll swear you in.
Gordon Dobler, I live in the city of Coeur d'Alene.
All right, do you solemnly swear and/or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go
Thank you.
right ahead.
I have a brief presentation. Staff pretty much covered, but I do want to touch on a few points. The main one being the adequacy of the R12. So you've already seen, we've got R12 across the street, R17. It's on a collector, and I'm reminded of, if you might remember, I was here with Aspen Homes for an R12 down by the BMX park, and that was approved after some modifications, but still the consensus there was R12 is appropriate on, especially on a collector with as much traffic and as active as 15th is compared to some of the other ones. We've seen that it's in conformance, not only in conformance with the comp plan, but that the R12 is probably one of the lower density enabling zones for the compact neighborhood. So we would conclude that that's a perfect fit. So the utilities are there, they're available in 15th Street. You did get a little bit of a sneak peek of where we're headed with development. And again, while we understand that this is an annexation and a recommendation for zoning, as long as I've been doing this, which is a fairly long time, it's hard to not want to know if we annex this, what's going to happen to it. So you have a little bit of a sneak peek, but that's the remainder is coming forward next month. I think really other than that, staff has gone through the findings and said we have adequate infrastructure, zoning meets it. I don't have a whole lot more to add. Just here for any questions you might have.
Any questions? Were you involved in the other R12 or annexation?
No, but
Because
I've,
Phil had a
as
question.
a recent employee of Lake City,
Oh, okay,
I was briefed on the history with that. and
okay, all right.
Unfortunately, that one did not pan out, but what you'll see is the same intent as if it gets annexed as an R12.
All right, thanks, Gordon. John, you had a question?
Kind of a statement and a lead to a question, but this is an area, I guess, that, Sean Holm would always call these donut holes.
Yeah.
I call them Swiss cheese.
Dave called them Swiss cheese, yeah.
Whatever, but they're like little islands of county completely surrounded by city. My understanding is it creates confusion with respect, if someone's wandering along there with a dog off a leash, are they in the county and in the city, which rules apply? City sweeps the streets, city paints the streets, city potholes fixes the street, EMS comes to that house, police come to that house, the people that live there go to the park, they're freeloaders, so, back in the day, in your previous life, is it true that, it was almost a strategic push to try to get these on? Some of them had failing sewers and whatnot, and trying to get them into the city is a strategic push, no?
That's exactly right. And, it depends on the focus of the council, but that's a consistent theme that we've seen throughout the years, that the Swiss cheese are, I don't know, freeloaders,
Well.
but in essence, it's the same thing. We being the city, provide all of the services, everything, and get really none of the benefit. And these are general issues that I believe the Planning Commission would at least consider in, I know you're recommending a zoning, but the base issue is, at least in your minds, is should we annex this or not? Although that's a council decision. We will make that argument to the council as strong as we can to say, yeah, there's a huge benefit to that.
Thank you.
Well, John, maybe some relief will be felt when we do the impact fees.
And
Really, certainly a way to address it, should be addressed.
And I've just got a question for Hillary. A development agreement that will be down the road?
I don't know if this one triggers it. So when city council adopted the development agreement ordinance, it was kind of determined it would be for special circumstances. This one's pretty small. There would be, I think they're looking at maybe 7 lots, maybe not even. So
Right.
it's really minimal impact. I guess that's something if commission wanted to make that recommendation, it'd ultimately be city council that would determine if that's required. But I think a standard annexation agreement would cover all the issues.
So if one of the commissioners want to make a recommendation, they can do it at the time of the,
They could with the
tonight,
findings.
if they want to?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions of Gordon?
Nope.
No? All
I
right.
guess finally, if I might, we've reviewed the conditions or the suggested conditions, and we don't have any objections to.
All right. Great. Thanks, Gordon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have Cody Frank, and he's in favor but did not want to testify. Okay. I have Jenny Barlow or Jerry Barlow and Lynn Barlow. They did not wish to testify, but they didn't indicate in favor or not. So,
That's us. I probably should have checked neutral.
I've just,
Neutral.
you're,
Neutral.
I'm Jerry and my wife.
okay.
He
All right,
said-
we can't hear you on the mic, but if you're neutral?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's it for who I have signed up. Gordon, do you have anything else to add, or is anyone that didn't sign up wants to speak? Not? Gordon, come on up.
For a lengthy rebuttal, but
Come on up to the front, Gordon. What did you say? I couldn't hear you. He can rebuttal himself. Okay, I'm going to close public testimony on this and bring it to council for, not council, but the commission for discussion and then a motion.
Okay.
Discussion, go ahead,
Yeah,
Bill.
if I could. I don't have any problem with this at all. R12 zoning is appropriate. 15th Street's a major roadway. I believe it's consistent with the intent of the master plan. And to that point, let it go. But I do have an issue when it comes back to us. 15th Street is a major roadway. Now we have, if there are 18 on Birkdale, and now we're going to have 6 more, 24 units on one single private drive exiting onto 15th Street. Now, the trips are no longer 6 to 7, the trips are 20 or 30, and PM peak is usually higher because everyone is out of work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The concern I have, and I think it's a concern we need to look forward to, now we can do about it today, is we're creating a situation of a series of dead-end type developments that have private, 20-foot wide private roads. The city, I'm assuming, will not be snow plowing those or anything, and people trying to get out in the morning may not be our problem, except as citizens, we should be concerned. But at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it is our problem, because they're backed up on 15th Street, trying to get in or out here, across the street, whatever. So for what we have here, I have no problem saying it should be approved and go forward. But if the applicant or whoever or all of us, I think we need to pay attention to what they're doing here. Otherwise, it'll wind up with a series of dead-end developments that don't allow for any kind of interior circulation beyond going to 15th Street. And that's not just good planning, in my opinion.
And would this come up in the PUD when they come back?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Phil. Any other discussion? Go ahead, John.
Speaking to Mr. Ward's points, I think maybe it'd be advisable to us to encourage the city or through us to develop some standards. Because we're going to hear this, we hear this quite regularly. You know, what kind of standards do we want the city to meet and so forth? Maybe, if they exist, you know, maybe they do, but I never hear that. I think that there's, you know, the technology of traffic control and so forth is, I think, that's somewhat advanced, but maybe it's time for us to come up with some type of things to recommend to the council, principles, policies, some direction to what we can do so we don't have to raise this every time. It's just as frustrating to us as it is the public, especially if whether you're for or against it, you know, but what are the things we must meet? And if we can get that more definitive, it may be helpful to all. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
I just say, you know, again, I may have taken this off the the rails by talking about the traffic or the offset intersection, whatever it was, but that probably is for another day. You know, what's really germane tonight is, you know, should it be annexed, you know? Yes, it needs to be in the city. It's one of these donut hole, Swiss cheese, freeloading, whatever. I mean, it makes just a ton of sense for this to be annexed in the city. It's a no-brainer. That said, the exhibit right out of the comp plan says that for a compact neighborhood, which this would be, R12 is very appropriate. So, you know, I totally support tonight's decision point, which would be a favorable recommendation to the city council for annexation with an R12 zoning.
Thank you, John. Other comments? Just need somebody to do findings. You want to do it, Lynn?
Sure.
Thank you.
Why not? This matter having come before Planning Commission on October 10th, 2023, and there being present a person requesting approval of item A-1-23, a request for zoning prior to annexation from County Ag Suburban to City R12. Location is 3549 North 15th Street, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 83814. The applicants are Sandra and William Braden. Our findings B1 through B7 have notified the public of this and posted a standard boilerplate. B8, that this proposal is in conformance with the comp plan as follows. The future land use map designates the property as the compact neighborhood place type that identifies R12 as a compatible zoning. The following 2022-2024 comp plan goals and objectives that apply, particularly Objective C1 3.1, support efforts to preserve existing housing stock and provide opportunities for new and affordable workforce housing. And items, environment and recreation, preserve and enhance the beauty and health. We have wonderful parks nearby. We have proximity to multiple areas of nature from this location, and it's beneficial to open it to more people. And for growth and development, we develop a mix of land uses throughout the city that balance housing and employment while preserving the qualities. Proximity of this to thoroughfares, to the freeway, to keep people closer into the heart of our working city is great. It's very beneficial. We're not plopping this in the middle of residential. It is unto itself development. And then B9, that public facilities and utilities are available and adequate for the proposed use. That is based on input from the city addressing sewer, water. We'll get rid of one more septic tank that drains into our aquifer. Yay. B10, that the physical characteristics of the site make it suitable for the request at this time. It is a very flat topography. It is there, and it's accessible to an easy build. B11, that the proposal would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood character, and/or existing land uses. We will have to, and we are addressing 15th. I think there is going to be a center turn lane here in a few years, and that'll help on that singular entry point and exit point. So we are making improvements to 15th. I think this will come in time, and, well, I know it has to come in time. And then is the proposed zoning compatible with surrounding area in terms of use? Yes, very much so. Multifamily, R12 fits right in here. In conclusion and decision, Planning Commission is tasked with recommending zoning for the annexation request. The Commission shall provide a recommendation of zoning to City Council along with an evaluation of how the proposed annexation does meet the required evaluation criteria and the requested annexation of R12. And with the city includes following provisions, items 1 through 7, that the engineer showed no exceptions to.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second the
Fleming.
motion.
I have a
Second motion.
first by Commissioner
Chairman.
Fleming, second by Commissioner Ward.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
included in the finding should be that the commission recommends adoption, recommends that the city council adopt the R12
R12.
zoning.
My recommendation is that the City Council do adopt an R12 in this particular development.
Okay. All right. So I have a first by,
I was gonna let someone else, but I'll second it.
I have a first by
Spread it
Commissioner
around.
Fleming, second by Commissioner Ward. Do we have any further discussion? If not, we can have roll call.
Fleming,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Lutrip,
Yes.
McCracken,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Messina.
Yes. Okay. Motion passes. Congratulations. Best of luck with City Council. If nothing else, I may.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, and I'd
Okay.
like to speak to that motion.
Sorry, we're adjourned.
No, well, you haven't had the vote yet. Mr. Ingalls very well talked about Leaf Fest, and that is one of the most unique programs we have in the city, in my opinion. We also have something in the city that happens around this time, and that's Tubbs Hill Cleanup. So those of you that may be interested in Tubbs Hill Cleanup, from 9 to 12 on this Saturday in East Tubbs Hill Park, there are volunteers taken there to help clean up the hill. And the community likes it, the hill likes it, and with that, I move adjournment.
Okay, so I have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Luprip,
Second?
second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
See you in a month.
Good job.